Right, hello, hopefully I'm live. So I've got my Vatnik on because where I've been ill, even with the heating on, I'm still a bit cold. So I've got my lovely tanky jacket on, not a grey Russian one, it's a Czech olive drab green one. Just adjust that a bit more because typically I can never quite get the angle right on that. But yeah, so this helmet I picked up at the military fair I went to the other day. Now, can you move that down? Now you can, so you can actually fix the thing being in the wrong place. So I think this is a Hungarian helmet. I'm going to check that, but I've had Hungarian helmets before, and the liner looks very similar, and the shape looks pretty similar. So I think this is a Hungarian helmet. So we'll put the chin strap on, and then yeah, I don't particularly like it with the chin strap, so never mind. It stays quite well on my head even without that. So hopefully we'll get some people on, but it has caught my glasses. So how easy is it to remove that? Is it just a button up one? I suppose I could always do that typical American style thing where you put the strap around the front of the helmet. Although that's actually not going to be long enough for this one to do that. I suppose I could just tuck it down the side. That would work. It's not an awful strap, but again, it's one of those straps that getting it just about right for your head is a bit of a hassle. So I probably won't bother. But yeah, looking at that, I think... All right, Visa, I think that's Hungarian. I'm just going to have a look, but I've had a Hungarian helmet before that was very similar to this. So... yeah, is it a Hungarian M53? Because I think, looking at this is a Hungarian M53 or a Hungarian M70. The M70 has rivets. The rivets look too small for the Hungarian M70. The M53 has a similar chin strap to this one, and it's got the same looking sort of brim on it. So I think this is probably a Hungarian M53. It might have been the M70 I actually had before, but I'll go to the comments in a minute. I'm just trying to tuck that bloody strap out the way again. But yeah, I reckon that might be a Hungarian M53. See if I can get some more pictures of the M53 up. So the M53 has two rivets, sort of one there and one there. This one doesn't know, so it's got what about the Czech helmets? Because some of the Czech Cold War helmets are pretty similar. Czech helmets. Czech M52 has rivets sort of up near the top, sort of there and there. So the rivets look more similar to the Czech one, but the brow doesn't look big enough for that. The VZ53 helmet has, yeah, because the Czech VZ53 looks kind of like a rip-off of the M1. VZ53. Yeah, maybe it's a Czech M53 because that looks more similar with the liner and everything and the two little rivets there as opposed to not loads of different shaped rivets all around it. And looking at Czechoslovakian M53/80 helmet, that's the exact liner this has. So yeah, I think this is a Czech M53/80 helmet saying that. Right, I'll go to the comments now. Does it have markings on it? Other than the UN bit on it, not really. Like I said, you can see the liner, but without taking all the liner out. Not obviously, no. A lot of the commie ones, they don't seem to have very good like markings on them. Yeah, I've got that on my Czech jacket, and I think even this Czech Vatnik has that. But I don't think a lot of the Czech helmets I've ever had that. No, because West German would be a US Stahlhelm copy. This isn't the Stahlhelm, not US Stahlhelm copy, US M40 copy. And the coat is just a vatnik. So this one is normally worn inside another coat, but you know how vatnik is like an insult for Russians. This is a Czech vatnik, so it's got Velcro on it, but it's the Czech version of a vatnik, the quilted jackets. Although this one has like slightly better underarm bits that are kind of flexible and has a nice collar on it. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, it is very similar to the SSH-40 Visa, but the rivets are a bit different. But like I said, when I've had the Hungarian helmets before and some of the others, like they're all very similar, just the rivets and the liners tend to be a bit different. But yeah, looking at what the liner looks like, it looks like a Czech M53, I think it was 80. So yeah, at least because there's one coming up here, if I link to it. So this helmet here, if we get this one up, and then you look at the listing pictures that show the liner, to me, that looks like the exact same, and I've tucked the liner out the way now, which is convenient when I actually want to show it. But see if I can pull this back out of where I've tucked it in. Yeah, to me, that liner looks exactly the same as the one with the green straps, the same buckles, and the sort of leather pad that looks exactly like that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it's a Czech M5380. So I wasn't too far off when I said Hungarian. But does it show the rear of the helmet? Because there's also one rivet on the rear of this helmet. Annoyingly, it doesn't on those listing pictures for that particular one. But yeah, it has got one rivet on the rear there. And has it got the same kind of it's got the same kind of felty looking stuff in the back of the headband as well. Don't know how well you can see that there. So it does look, all the materials and like the straps and everything. I'm pretty sure it's a Czech thing, because again, it's a lot of the countries when they did UN stuff just literally painted their standard helmets or sold their helmets. So this might have not even been used by the Czechs, this helmet. All right, Rich. All right, Scott. So it literally could have been a case of the Czech surplus a load of helmets to some African country or whatever, or Pakistan or somewhere, and then they painted the UN stuff on them. I don't know, but I thought it was just quite cool getting a UN helmet. So I don't have it on me at the moment in this room, otherwise I'd hold it up and show it now, but I have filmed a video on it. I bought a British Army marching compass, the modern style one. Well, when I say modern, I mean like the one from the late Cold War, the 70s, sort of 80s. That's really cool, even though the tritium's faded on it and everything. It's one of those fucking huge brass compasses that, you could actually put in your hand and smack something, and it would be pretty nasty if you got hit in the head with it. And this helmet and 4 Bren gun mags, because there was one of the stores there was selling Bren gun mags for £5 each. So I bought 4 for 20 quid. Annoyingly, though, they don't fit in my Bren gun, because how they've deactivated my Bren gun, the Bren mag that's with my Bren gun is specifically cut to fit with the deac thing. So because these mags haven't been tampered with, they don't actually feed my Bren gun. Yeah, so yeah, like I said, Scott, it was probably a case that in the 90s, some UN country, bought essentially shitloads of old Czechoslovakian and probably Polish and whatever else commie era steel pots and just painted them. But like I said, I did want one that was proper UN blue with the logo on. That is quite white, but to the camera there, it actually looks to me more like grey. If I turn that light off a second, maybe. Yeah, you can see it looks more white now. But yeah, it's probably a case that they just bought a load of old commie crap up and But like I said, I wanted to get one of these helmets like this because annoyingly, no, my Bren gun's 303. It's just a post-war 303 one. And it is the 303 mags I've got. Again, I probably can't pick the mags up and show you on camera. It's just how they've deactivated mine. they've put like a weird pin in the magwell, and then the mag that's paired with it, they what do you call it? They've like cut a hole in the mag to fit where that pin goes into the magwell, so the mag still goes in, but you know, you can't do a mag that's not been tampered with. It's Dutch DPM. So it's Dutch DPM is basically just brighter DPM. But yeah, if you've seen the wild geese, searching tropic DPM now, it's basically the same colors. That yeah, the Dutch one looks more like the old tropic one, yeah, rather than like the 95 DPM. So yeah, it's just whatever version the Dutch used, because yeah, it's just the, don't know, you see it there, it's just, yeah, it's actually a thicker material, funnily enough, even though it might be, like you said, might have been originally based on the tropic. It's actually thicker than Soldier 95s. But yeah, it's just one of the trails I've got, and because where I've had like that fluey cold shit recently, if people saw my post, I've just been feeling shivery all the time. So yeah, for the last couple of days, didn't do anything like video wise or whatever. Today I might still call it a bit short for the stream because my throat is still a bit sore, even though I can actually talk today. But if I picked up the flu thing that's going around, I'm bloody glad I had the flu jab, because I know people that got flu this flu season that were ill for like 2 weeks of it. So if this is what I've had, and you know, it's lasted me about 5 days, I'll call that a win. But like I said, the last couple of days, I've not been out of bed doing much because, you know, I've just been sort of feeling a bit achy in my limbs. Main issue is just feeling shivery non-stop, you know, where I could have the heating on. I could be wearing clothes under my bed covers and still feel cold. And as soon as I got up to go to the toilet or whatever, I'd feel like I'd actually stepped outside, you know, like with nothing on, in like minus temperatures. But I'm over the worst of it now, so that's good. And yeah, because I'm still ahead on videos, I've still got like a week in front on videos. So that doesn't depends, Jim, as well, what the helmet is. This would stop a 22 LR probably, and probably a 9mm, depending on what kind of core it is in the bullet. Because I have seen a lot of old steel pots tested, and some of them are surprisingly good. All right, yeah, these actually feel more cottony than the real ones, Rob. So yeah, like I said, the colors look like the British tropical one, but I think that's just because the Dutch stuff was always like, they bought the rights to DPM, but I'm assuming because they wanted their stuff to not look identical to the British uniforms, most Dutch stuff seems to always be a slightly different color. Because there's some Arab countries as well. I don't know if one of them might have been Oman that bought the rights to DPM, and they've got like a weird red color in their DPM, you know, where like it's a bit like Alpenflage, where they obviously bought DPM and then just changed a couple of the colors in the color palette. So, but yeah. But like I said, these are just quite warm, which is why I had them on today, because the trousers I was wearing prior to these I found just too, you know, too chilly. Oh, and that's the point. I was going to start the tumble dryer off before I started the stream, and I've not remembered to do it. But like I said, I'll probably only stream 30 minutes or so. But yeah, so probably a Czech helmet, Czech Vatnik little jacket liner. I took this out of my Czech jacket didn't come with it, but I'm pretty sure this is the correct one for the Czech jacket I've got. The one that's in the Czech needle camo that has the like night vision IR layer on it. So before the stream, I unbuttoned this because you like have the buttons on the sleeves with this, like there. So it, you know, like buttons onto your sleeves of the jacket, a bit like an M65 liner. Yeah, that must have been the one then, Rob. Yeah. Cool. What mutated duck? What type of Gen 1 night vision to get in Gen 1 Plus? Do you know, like an old Soviet style one or what? Yeah, so that's probably the one I'm thinking of then, Rob. The orangey looking one, but yeah, like orangey red looking one. But yeah, I think there's a few countries that have like used DPM but just changed the colors slightly, or they just use different, you know, different dyes from different manufacturers. Because like to me, at least on the stream as I'm watching it back on my monitor with quite high saturation, that looks almost orange to me, that color there. And it's not. It's to my eye, that's like a certain shade of brown, and then there's like a shade of yellow. But yeah, like the green is much brighter on this one than say like Soldier 95 version of DPM. Right, well, they recycled the Soviet tube, so yeah, it's probably going to be your standard tubes they used in the PNV 57E. Because the Soviets like really mass produced this one type of Gen 1 tube, so it's probably But yeah, my friend's got like a random Soviet one as well, like that, where he just got it cheap in a charity shop. And I've also bought one really cheap, a bit like that, yeah, where it was just in the 90s or 2000s, companies bought up a load of the old Soviet stock and then put them in their own kind of plastic housing. But yeah, so what I wish I had known on Sunday was how bloody cold it was going to be at that military thing I went to, because I went out on Saturday and it, with a jacket on and that was absolutely fine. That Sunday, I was fucking freezing my fingers off, my toes off and everything, even with a coat on and everything. So I would have worn something like this under it. Yeah, Rob, there's a model some people have recommended that I don't have that's apparently pretty good for the price point, but I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head. Like I said, the ones I've got that are really good, but they're expensive, the ADNV G14 P2s. Let me look up the name of it. Was it something like Dallas Dig Out or something like that it was called? Yeah, Dallas Dig Out. So yeah, there's one on their site from October. Yeah, next Dallas Dig Out Sunday the 4th of January. So they've not updated their site. Probably can't link to something like this on YouTube because of the fact there'll be guns in it. So there were people with vehicle parts and that there. But like I said, it's kind of like a car boot for military stuff. But somebody I know said to me, "Did I want to go?" And I said, "Yeah, that sounds good." And again, that's a nice thing now when I'm not working at weekends anymore. If people say to you, "Do you want to go to something like that?" I can just say, "Yeah." And then I just paid the bloke who drove us down and back, some money for the petrol and that. It was, I think, was it Buckinghamshire? Let me have a look. But yeah, it was only like a 40-minute drive. Assuming it's the same place every year. Yeah, let me oh, Dallas Auto Parts, Cold Ash Farm, Long Lane, Hermitage, Berkshire. So Berkshire, not Buckinghamshire, Berkshire. So yeah, it was done a bit like a car boot sale, because there's obviously some like shed type things there, but most of it is just people obviously where they had stuff, like on tables where their car was. My mate that was there bought an air rifle and bought a couple of other bits, but like I said, I got the helmet, I got some Bren mags, and the compass that I forgot to get handy for this stream. But the compass was a Stanley G150 compass, the brass prismatic marching compass ones with the like tritium glowing bits, and that was 35 quid there, where a guy had a load of them, which was pretty good because on eBay they're nearly all 100 to 200. And the bloke we went with who drove us, that was ex-army, looked through all of them and goes, "That's the best one if you want to buy one." So because obviously he obviously knows how to read a compass properly, unlike me. So yeah, it's fucking heavy. That's what I was saying, Rob, earlier. Like, you could get that in your hand and fucking whack somebody with it. I'm wondering, actually, if that would be, not to give the government any ideas of something to ban next, but if you had that in your pocket just as a compass, if that would end up being a really good, just easy self-defense item, if you gripped it in your hand and then smack. But yeah, like I said, the tritium doesn't glow on its own anymore, as you'd expect, because tritium is only good for like 10, 20 years. It's a bit hard to read the actual compass now. Yeah, I ought to do a new EDC thing like that. But yeah, because just where like the liquid's discolored a bit over time, but you can still read it, and the compass works perfectly. And what I like is it doesn't get thrown off, like some of the other cheaper compasses I've got. When you're near a magnet. It does seem to be pretty good at, unless it's a really strong magnetic field, not fucking up with the compass needle, unlike a lot of the cheaper compasses and like more plasticky ones. So I'm assuming it's the brass casing that stops it fucking up that way. But yeah, so anyway, like I said, that was the most expensive thing I bought, funnily enough, that compass. But like I said, that was still nothing like what they cost on eBay. See a mutated duck. Like I said, I'm not going to be on more than 30 odd minutes today just because my throat's still a bit sore. But yeah, so, and like I said, the Bren mags, but I can't actually, as it turns out, put those Bren mags in my Bren gun because of the fact that I could, if I cut a thing into each mag, they would work in a Bren gun. But like I said, I'm not going to fuck up old World War II or 50s era Bren mags. Yeah, again, like I've said to people before, Rob, a really bright torch is surprisingly good, isn't it, as an EDC thing? Because some of them are really bright, some of them have the like strobe modes that is really disorientating, even if you're not what's the word I'm looking for? Where you can have a seizure. Epileptic. Even if you're not epileptic, they can be really off-putting, the strobes, because your eyes don't have a chance to, like you don't have a chance to really squint against the light if it's strobing, like, several times a second. And some of the torches as well are built fairly fucking solid as well, like not as big as old mag lights, but again, if you had to hold it up because somebody was attacking you, it would temporarily blind them and you could probably bludgeon them with it. On my keyring now, I've got quite a bright UV flashlight, but that's just because at the moment it's just on my flashlight. Because I got it recently and I thought, why not put on my keyring? This one of those things, if I'm going out somewhere and had limited pocket space, I'd probably take that off my keyring. But that was a fairly good one. Visa recommended. It's in the other room, so again, I can't check the name of it handily. But what was the name of it? Your Visa's still on. You might remember the company, but yeah, it was another one that came from China, but it's built pretty well and was quite cheap what was. But actually, I can check on Discord and the message will be there from about a week ago, won't it? It was just before Christmas, I think I bought it. Yeah, there's more messages here than I thought there were. Search for UV. Convoy lights. So it was a Convoy S12. No, I think it wasn't the S12 I bought in the end. I think it was maybe it was the was it the S8 I bought? But I bought one of their like cool ones with. Yeah, that's a different one, the S12. Yeah, I think it was the C8 I bought. So yeah, I'm pretty sure it was this one I got. This looks about right. Again, I don't know what the extended battery kind of thing is for, because I don't know if you can use that with two batteries. Because input 3.8 to 3 to 8.4 volts. Yeah, so I can actually put a second battery in it, because I was wondering why it had the extension kind of bit. So yeah, that's cool. So I can probably get that twice as bright. So yeah, I need to get some more 18650s. And then, yeah, I've got like the tube that screws onto it. So you can make it probably twice as bright and everything, or last twice as long, whichever way it does it. But yeah, I didn't want to put two batteries in it if that wasn't the case. Because I've also seen things like that where they're designed still to use one battery, but they give you two lengths of like tube if you want to use a compact battery or like a bulkier battery that lasts longer. Yeah, let me just have a look on Amazon now, if Amazon still do batteries at a good price for 2 18650s. And again, because I've had a battery explode before, I'm kind of careful with brands on batteries now. There's all the different MAHs as well, and obviously I want the highest MAH possible because that's the longest. Voucher price for one for $12.59. 4-pack of 3,000 milliamp hours. As long as I charge it up in my good charger with all the safety cut-offs, yeah, I'll risk these ones. Oh, actually, but then these don't come for like a week and a half. So yeah, fuck that. Jessup's actually. Oh no, they're Jess Powell, not Jessup's, Jess Powell. But you can get 2-pack of those for 15 quid. And they're the flat top ones, which I think work in my thing as well as the button tops. I know I've got other things that need the flat top ones. I'll go back to the chat in a minute. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by batteries now. And a lot of them now, I think it's because of e-cigarettes, have the ones without the like vapes have the ones without the heads on. Yeah, I think this is going to end up still being the best value for money one. And this is the one with the knobs on the top, nipples. Right, bye now. Then I'll do a review of the Torch when tomorrow by 1 p.m. Yeah, there we go. Right, I'll go back to the comments in a moment. Right, yeah, there we go. The UV lights, Caesar, if you've seen all the radioactive shit I've got, is really cool for making stuff glow in the dark. Yeah, this one comes with an IR filter cap, and obviously you can use it or not use it depending on if you want to. But yeah, that's the cool thing with the IR filter caps. You can obviously, turn a regular torch, can't you? And have the light that comes out only really be the IR sort of end of the spectrum. It's a bit like how the Americans had like good quality fancy IR bulbs for their tanks and things in the Cold War, and the Soviets just had an IR filter that went on front of the searchlight, which actually does kind of work. It's just not as efficient, but yeah. But yeah, UV lights, other than hunting for like semen stains or whatever other, things you can do with a UV light, which, is a hobby for some people, I guess, is there's lots of really cool glow in the dark shit. That if you shine a UV light on stuff where it glows. Because like I said, like especially even with old radium stuff, even though the radium doesn't glow anymore, the phosphorus still will glow under UV light, so you can kind of get a gist of what it would have looked like back in the day. One thing I would not recommend you do with a UV light if you want to sleep happily, though, is don't use one at like an Airbnb or somewhere like that. Because when we last went to an Airbnb, even though it was quite clean with a couple of mates, I did have a little UV light on my keyring, and I was like, oh yeah, let's just give this a shine around on the sofas and that, and yet somebody been splooging all over the sofas. So actually I might have a little UV light in here. 1 second. Was that to do with Rob, where they got the Russian ship the other day? Yeah, so there's a UV light. This one isn't actually, this is like one of the quite cheap rechargeable ones. It's still pretty good if you wanted to put this one on the keyring. Can you actually take the battery out of this, or is it just an inbuilt battery that doesn't come out? I can't remember this one. But you can recharge this one just with a USB-C connection. But yeah, what I was saying about these is, say you get a radium dial, like one of these, even though they don't glow anymore, if you put the UV light on them, as you might be able to see, you can actually see where they glow really green. Again, it's hard to get that angle right there. So yeah, you can get a gist of what these would have looked like back in the day when the radioactive, paint still worked on them. Because the weird thing with radium is the half-life of this is like 1,600 years or something. But the reason they don't glow anymore is the radium is, I can't remember if it's acidic or alkali, but it basically eats into the phosphor in the paint. So the radium itself actually destroys the glow-in-the-dark paint. So it's still radioactive, it just doesn't glow anymore. Yeah, you can use it to really quickly recharge, glow-in-the-dark shit. So it's really good for, if you've got a glow-in-the-dark like lume on your watch or whatever. Won't work with this one, obviously. Although this one does actually have quite bright, sort of like UV reflective things on. I never noticed before. But yeah, if you had a regular watch with like UV, a lume phosphor, you can charge the lume up really quickly with one of these. Let's see if there's somebody spunked in the UN helmet. Oh no, I know what this is from though. This is where I had the Bren gun mags and I had them stored in the helmet. See that? Where is it? Da dun da dun da dun. But yeah, I know what that's from. That's from can't get the angle right. There we go. It's because it's mirrored on here, so I'm doing it in the wrong. Yeah, but yeah, that is actually from that's like cosmoline. That's just actually conventional oil, because to the actual eye it looks like oil. And I don't actually care. I put that on my head because I'm shaving my hair at some point again soon. And again, it's only like motor oil type stuff. So the outside of this. What about the Vatnik? Does the Vatnik have anything on? No, I'm right. This isn't a Russian Vatnik. It's a Czech Vatnik. So it's not been used for corrective punishments or whatever they like to call it. But yeah, I know you're not to shite UV in your life. See if your teeth are clean. Yeah, UV lights. Yeah, like I was saying, if you take them into, like I was saying, like an Airbnb, or toilets or stuff like that. Yeah, I mean some public bathrooms used to have UV lights, though, saying that, because I think it made it hard for people to shoot up heroin or something like that. Was the reason they used to use. I remember that when I was a kid being a lot more of a thing. Like half the toilets you'd use that are public toilets always had the blue UV lights. Like for example, that over there, completely off topic, that's got a glow in the dark phosphor on. See that? On the Polish wall-mounted Geiger thing. And then that's one of the things in here that's actually, like a regular glow in the dark thing that still works. But yeah, so that was just one of those. Yeah, but it's normally UVC that destroys bacteria, and UVC is the one that's not good for humans as well. I've got a UVC bulb. I've done a couple of videos of it, but there's a really good Big Clive video about UVC, where basically, I think it was at this thing in China, they wanted UV lights, for like glow in the dark paints and that, but they bought fucking UVC bulbs. So at the time, nobody realized there was a problem. But yeah, as soon as everybody got home that evening, they were having excruciating eye pain and skin burns because obviously the UV works a bit like beta radiation, where it just cooked off the top layer of their eyes, and because in the Big Clive video, he said if you actually hold, and I've tested this, it does fucking work. If you get a UVC bulb, hold your hand against it for like a few seconds, it actually smells like burning meat because it is cooking your flesh. But yeah, UV, and yeah, Rob, exactly. You can speed grow plants. You can actually just use it on normal plants as well, not even the fun plants, because I used to use some UV lights. I don't know, I have to see if I can find them. They used to have them in the windowsill, and it used to be like, in the summer, any of the pot plants on the windowsill got enough light, but in the winter, because it got so dark, I put these like, UV spectrum LEDs on them. But yeah, I don't think you can get UVC LEDs. Like, you can definitely get, but yeah, like you can definitely get old-fashioned UVC bulbs, because the ones I've got are old-fashioned. But yeah, when I bought a UVC bulb, it turned out to be like a scam product. We're saying that maybe some companies do make UVC bulbs, UVC LEDs. But yeah, a lot of UVC LEDs are like 500 quid to 1,000 quid. Yeah, the only thing a bit like those is you have to get the genuine ones, because again, it's a bit like with the ultrasonic cleaners, that the cheapest ones you can find on AliExpress and that and Temu aren't even fucking real ultrasonic cleaners. It's just a water bath that has a vibrating motor and to make people think it's an ultrasonic cleaner when they're not. So yeah, you'd have to be careful, Caesar, if you got one of those, that you're actually getting a legit thing. Like I said, UV stuff is great like that. It's just I know enough stuff like that is scam products that you need to be careful. Yeah, anyway, I'll go off in a minute because my throat is getting quite sore now. Yeah, I've got, just to show you, I've shown this before on a stream. I'll do it with the Russian Geiger counter that's here anyway. So right, so I bought, wondering if it was or not, a while ago, some magic powder off of eBay that was for making your own bracelets that glow in the dark. Yeah, there's a reason I've got this in several bags, because you don't want that powder going airborne. But yeah, it's, yeah, exactly, D and D, yeah, because real UVC, yeah, like you said, you can smell the ozone as it breaks the air down around it. But like I said, I wouldn't want to spend a load of money on a product to find out it's not a real one. But yeah, I'll have to actually do some research into that if there is real UVC LEDs. But yeah, at one point I fucking bought one like that. Oh, it's there, but I can't be asked to get it out. Yeah, mikroröntgen. Sucker. Yeah, but so like I said, that thing I just showed there was build your own magic health pendant, which is just literally thorium powder when I've checked it with one of my other detectors. But yeah, the shitty LED one I bought down there, that literally made no ozone smell, didn't set off certain things that normally react to UVC. All right, Rajiv, you've caught me just as I'm going off, because I'm afraid my UN helmet, yeah. I'm afraid annoyingly, like, I don't know if you saw the message, I've had like a coldy flu thing that if it was the flu that's going around, I'm really lucky I had the jab and it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But it might have just been like a really nasty cold. But for a couple of days, I was just really shivery in that. But you know, today I've actually felt well enough to do a video and do a stream and that. But the last couple of days I've been shivering in bed with it. So I went to a military fair on Sunday, and that was the last day I felt all right. When I got back from that, and that was really cold, and I wish I wore more layers, I went to bed really early that day, like say 4 p.m. or something, because you know I just felt knackered and worn out. But I did get up early that morning, like you know I got up before 6 a.m. or whatever. So it was one of those days where it's hard to know if that was when I first started getting the symptoms. But then Monday, you know, I was just shivering with achy limbs in bed. Yeah, well, this is the first time since I've left work that I've got properly ill. And of course, one of the people I went to the military fair with is somebody that used to work in the job I worked. So if I did catch it, I think I caught it from him. But yeah, but since leaving the job I used to do, I've been getting ill a lot less because I'm just not in a place that's full of fucking germs everywhere. But yeah, the last couple of days, yeah, I've definitely had something that was just making me shivery and achy. But like I said, at least with this thing, it seemed to be quite strong for a couple of days and then, you know, went away. And I prefer that to something that makes you feel bad but lasts for like a week to 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Because what I absolutely hate is when you, get something and like it just drags on and on and on, even if you can do stuff, but you just feel like shit when you're doing it. I'd rather be in bed for a couple of days, you know, with loads of blankets on me shivering and then feel well again than, you know, have a cold flu thing that just lasts weeks and takes ages to fuck off. Yeah, I've been taking multivitamins and that a lot more regularly. Ironic. I wanted to do that now in the Palpatine voice. He could save other people from diseases, but not himself. Have you heard of Darth Plagueis the Ill? It's not a thing you'd learn from a pharmaceutical company. Yeah, like I said, most of the time I get infections is when I end up, like I said, like when I used to be in my old job and there was air recirculating, like literally every weekend I was there, I'd normally always catch something every weekend because of my weak immune system. Now it seems, you know, it's just shit luck if I'm not wearing a mask and everything and I'm using public transport and whatever else. But like I said, I'm not actually, even though I'm quite pro mask, I'm not the sort of person that is going to wear a mask every time I fucking leave the house, you know, either. But again, it's just sod's law sometimes that you can sometimes, like, again, I knew people that were isolating from COVID that still caught COVID, and people that were out and about all the time and didn't catch it. You know, it's just one of those things that you can just luck out. I guess it's like a load of dice rolls. And it's like my dad. He's somebody that, you know, can be out doing loads of stuff and he very rarely gets ill. But most of his like other family members didn't get that luck. He just seems to have a really good immune system. Oh, do you wear a cardboard box as well, Rajiv, and just run around in your cardboard box? But then somebody might try and steal you if you're in a cardboard box in London, I imagine. Yeah, you'll get all like the what do they call the like door drive pirates, the parcel pirates? You know, those people trying to grab you, thinking you've just been delivered to somebody's house. There was one video I saw of that where an Amazon bloke or whoever drops a parcel off on somebody's doorstep, and two opposing groups of pirates, like the doorstep pirates, spot the fucking parcel at once and fucking start going at each other over this parcel. So I suppose the good news was there was one injured or dead as a result of it. You know, porch pirate. Yeah, it is porch pirate, isn't it? Where, yeah, I think one pulled a gun and one pulled a knife, or they were getting funny over the thing. You slag. Yeah, that's my box. Anyway, I will go now because, like I said, my throat is getting more and more sort of dry and irritated as this goes on. So hopefully I'll do a stream tomorrow and everything. I'll try and do it in the evening tomorrow if I do one tomorrow. But like I said, when I'm feeling completely back to normal, I'll be back to doing streams regularly again and all that. But luckily I had that backlog of videos I'd made up, so it didn't matter that I was ill for a couple of days. There was still a daily upload. But I'm back to filming videos again. But like I said, it's just at the moment when I talk for too long, my throat is just drying out horribly. But yeah, anyway, have a good day, and I will see everyone tomorrow, hopefully, for a stream. And there's, I think, a gas mask video out tomorrow morning. I think it might have been the one on the M40 tomorrow, I think. I'll check for people just before I go off. Don't forget to like the stream before you go, everybody, as well. Right, videos, content. It was the Greek Lizard M65 one that went live today. The video coming out tomorrow is the US M40. Then the video on Saturday is the Canadian C4. And then I have one about do not redeem the Indian Danish cookies on the 11th, just because somebody gifted us for Christmas the Danish style cookies that were made in India. So I've personally not eaten any of those, but it did turn out that meme is real. Yeah, cheers D and D, but a lot of people just forget to do it, even if they do want to like the videos. So yeah, it's just you know, be aware if you're buying the Danish cookies that they don't always come from Denmark. Yes, anyway, I will be off now. So have a good evening, everyone, and I will see you all hopefully tomorrow for a video. All right, bye. And I'm doing the stream via the PC, so I need to click end on here.